It's between us.
The number one podcast in the world.
This is
the JBU.Show featuring Austin
from the Miller Talk Podcast.
ALLAN,
The American Sincerist.
and now your host,
Cam Allen.
I think I have identified a problem in America today. Of course, I am sure you all have identified a problem as well. I want to talk about a very specific problem that I believe is the root of many problems. A problem I think many people have their finger on, but haven't truly identified. So, what happened in Seneca Falls that summer? Well, on the 19th and 20th of that month, two women by the names of Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucreta Mott organized a convention. This convention was the first women's rights convention ever held in America. The things that were discussed in that convention are what eventually led to the ratification of the 19th Amendment in 1920. I have a lot to say about the 19th, but I'm going to put that to the side for now. You see, what started off as a movement to help women be heard in society and address real problems turned into something very sinister. By the 60s, we had Betty Friedan's bestseller, The Feminine Mystique. Betty heavily critiqued the nuclear family as well as held disdain for the suburban housewife. Here is how Grok defines the nuclear family, in case you didn't know. The nuclear family refers to the quality, state, or practice of being domestic that is centered on home life, family, and the private sphere of everyday household routines. It encompasses the cultivation of a comfortable, orderly, and nurturing home environment through activities like cooking, cleaning, child rearing, decorating, and creating rituals that foster intimacy, stability, and belonging among family members or housemates. This book was released in 1963, and many believe this is what led to what is now known as second-wave feminism. In 1966, the group NOW, the National Organization for Women, was founded. In 1970, we saw the Supreme Court case Roe v. Wade. Thank God that was overturned. Second-wave feminism was not focused fully on the original idea feminism was founded on. Many of the key issues they were focused on were sexual liberation and challenging traditional gender roles. The motto, "The personal is political," was born out of this movement. After all this, what fruit was produced from this movement? To start off, in 1960, the fertility rate was about 3.65, and by 1970, it was already around 2.5. By only 1975, it was cut in half to 1.8. Today, the rate is about 1.6, which is awful. This is how many kids each woman is having. You need to have at least 2.1 to be in population incline. Women instigate 70% of divorces in America, 90% among college-educated couples. In 1960, only about 5% of children were born to unwed parents. By 1985, it was 23%, and today it sits around 40%. In 1960, 8.5 people out of every 1,000 were married. Now it's 6.1. Remarriage has almost doubled since 1962, starting at around 13 to 21% of married adults having been married before to around 30% of adults. In 1960, the average woman had her first child by the age of 22. Today, that is 27 years old. In 1960, about 9% of children were raised by single mothers. Today, around 21% are raised by only their mother. Black children are 23% more likely to be raised by a single mother. That is a different discussion, though. When a child is raised by only their mother, that means more than half of the boys raised in those homes have only female influence in their lives. Boys need to be raised by men, and by women too, in a normal mother and father household. They need to be raised with their mother in the home and their dad at work. Now slow down. hold back your comments saying, this guy's a misogynist. Hear me out. I was raised by myself, primarily by the public education system and the state. I never really had a mother or father in my life, so I know this problem all too well. Study after study shows that kids raised in two-parent mother-father households do much better in educational, behavioral, and emotional outcomes, as well as crime and high-risk behaviors. Among single-parent homes, where the father is the one present, children tend to do better in these categories, and many studies show, especially in discipline, and better self-esteem with lower rates of depression. In 1962, about 20% of women and 8% of men were reported to have mental illness. 3/4 of this was anxiety and only 1/4 depression. Between 1960 and 1975, the rate of depression exploded and surpassed anxiety in 1975 by 5 million people. Today, the rate of mental illness in women has risen to 26.4%, with depression being the dominant complaint. Men have risen to 20%, nearly doubling since 1960. I did find something that was particularly weird, though. Among Gen Z, my generation, 40% of women report mental illness. That's almost double than the natural. That is 1.5 times higher than the rate reported by men in Gen Z. The point I am trying to get to is that ever since women began taking control of society, it has been in straight decline. Ever since women decided to start competing with men, they have gotten more depressed and the children are suffering for it. Literacy rates are in the trash. Test scores are lower than ever. Women are failing at their job. I'm not trying to be rude to women, but they are the only sex that can have babies. Men and women were made for a different reason. I think it was made very clear in the Bible. The biblical ordering of the family is Jesus, man, woman, child. Women are supposed to submit to men, not compete for places in the workforce. Women need to be married to men and men married to women. Don't think I'm trying to scapegoat women for all of society's problems. Men have roles they need to play too. In Ephesians chapter 5, 3 verses explain women's role in marriage, verses 22 through 24. Just after that, 9 verses are dedicated to the man's role in marriage, 25 to 33. If you don't believe me, go read it yourself. You see, men are given a greater responsibility in society. Men kill themselves at much greater rates than women. Men are incredibly more likely to be the one put in harm's way when anything happens, like a home intruder. That is natural to us, and many don't complain about the responsibility. Let's begin to wrap this up by looking at current data. As of today, Gen Z is the most likely to say religion is important to them, with high rates of people coming back to church. Among Gen Z, 42% say religion is important to them. This is a stark rise from just 2 or 3 years ago, where it was reported to be 28%. Only 29% of women in Gen Z say religion is important to them. Gen Z is the only generation to have men be the dominant leaders in bringing families to Christ, and they are much more likely to say it is important to them at the national rate for all people in America. I think Gen Z is making a turn for the better. I think that we are learning and seeing the late stages of progressivism, environmental, and feminist policies. My generation is nearing the age to begin getting fully involved in politics, being able to be elected into many offices. I can't say for sure yet, but the stark increase of religion, particularly Christianity, is an amazing sign, especially since for the first time since before the boomers, men are leading the change.
Is that the end?
Yeah, that's your part.
Oh, my bad. What inspired you to write this tonight, Austin?
Many things. Many things. Been something I was kind of thinking about for a while. And then I was listening to a podcast with Michael Knowles, and he kind of brought some things up, and it really got the wheels turning.
Yeah, I can tell. Did you change the end of that?
No.
Huh. Okay, whatever. We'll pretend I didn't realize it wasn't the end. I mean, it's hard to find anything to add and or disagree with in that. I mean, it's pretty consistent with what I believe anyway. But yeah,
Yeah, you see, our society has become more feminine over time,
yes,
even to the point now where men think they can be women. And it's obviously a weird thing because we have men literally dressing up and trying to be women. I
That we
think
do.
you could agree that a majority of that is sexual fetish. But what we see is women almost being forced. I wouldn't say they're forced really, but almost being forced into playing the role of the man and being told that that's a good thing. Women are putting off having kids
Well, that's
until
what-
much later.
that's what feminism is, right? It's trying to it's like
Trying
the
to say men
opposite
and
of the
women are
word.
equal.
It's trying to meninize women, if that's a word.
Yeah. They're trying to say men and women are equal and they can do the same things.
Yeah, so
The
it's trying
thing is,
to
both
make
of
a
us are
woman a man.
human, but that doesn't mean that we have the same exact roles. And we don't need to.
Correct. And I don't understand like what it is about being a woman that is so in a woman's role, and you know what you're naturally inclined to be good at and all of that. Like, what is it that's so bad about that exactly? Like, the women are not stronger than men. That doesn't make them inferior to men. It just makes them less
Mhm.
strong. But it seems that women interpret that as, well, then I must be weaker all the way around. Like, it's two different things. It's like comparing apples and oranges, right? It's not.
Mhm.
I don't see it that way. And I know we make jokes all the time and stuff, but obviously that's not, you know, there's a whole cesspool in the internet out there that we mock on this show. It doesn't mean that's how we
Mhm.
legitimately feel about certain things. But yeah, I mean, the whole point of feminism, we're going to have to go through the feminist mystique sometime.
Yeah.
But the whole point of feminism is ushering in socialism, right? That's what the point of all of this
Mhm.
stuff is on the left. It's all about destructuring the West in order to restructure it as a collectivist socialist society. You can't have that when people are comfortable, when people are successful, when they are happy. It's literally just fucking bitter, angry people that want to make the rest of the world bitter and angry too, when you get down to it. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know. It's a shame that it's worked so well.
Yeah. Thankfully, we're seeing a little bit of return to this, to the status quo, to the copybook headings. You know, it eventually it'll bleed itself out.
Are you sure
But
about
I think, yeah,
Because
not
I-
always sure.
that?
But in a free society,
I just want to remind us that this was like one year ago. Just 1 year ago. It almost physically hurts to watch. Lest we forget, this was a presidential. What do you call these? Event? Rally? Presidential rally?
yeah, something like that. I'm not exactly sure.
Campaign rally.
Campaign.
Also, I'm not convinced that's not a dude.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
I don't understand how it computes in a woman's brain that giving men everything that they want, not having to raise the children, not having to be responsible for the children, sex on demand,
Ish. Like 90% ish.
mhm, the sexual freedom movement as a whole, which came out of feminism. Like, how does that compute in your mind to say that, oh, this is a good thing? Oh, I'm going to go work. You know, even the ones that do end up having that little inkling in their brain to tell them that they should go at least have a boyfriend and maybe get married, then both households are working. So the man doesn't have to do as much. And the woman still ends up most of the time taking on a majority of that, they end up working and taking care of the children.
I would compare it to this. I think it's like drug addiction, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know the drug is bad for you. You know the drug is going to screw your life up. But you also know you enjoy it. And so you just keep doing it. And then there's also, you know, there's a chemical dependency aspect too when we're talking about the, you know, the most addictive drugs. That the more you do it, the harder it is to get away. And it's just like anything else. I mean, that's true of it's true of drugs. It's true of bad choices. It's true of lying. The more you lie, the easier it becomes to lie and the harder it becomes to tell the truth. The more bad decisions you make, the easier it is to keep making bad decisions. Until you get so far away from what you know is right that you don't even know how to get back there, you know?
I do not know why. If there happen to be any women listening to this from Chris's stream or mine stream, I want to know your honest reaction. We can get you in the Discord, or you can leave a comment. Why would you want to serve some man? Because either way, as a woman, you're going to end up serving a man. Why would you want to serve a man who has no idea who you are, only wants you there because you're doing a job, over serving a man who you can have his children and work in the household? Why would you want... I believe that a woman's job is equally as hard as a man's job.
Well,
yes, we can go back and forth and say men have to do manual labor, but women
it's two different
have
things,
to
though.
make babies. It's two different things, but I think they're equally as hard. Raising children and going to work every single day. That's why women don't need to do both.
I don't think that, I wouldn't say that raising children and going to work every single, but that's not the totality of either's job, right? But I agree when you look at the totality of either, sure. With that said, I think that what a lot of women would respond to that, and I get it, I have to guess. You guys are welcome to call in. If you go to the Rumble link on the JBU.Show, you can join the conversation right now if you don't want me speaking for you. But what I assume a lot would say would be, well, I don't want to serve a man at all. But the reality is you're going to be serving something. That's just how it is. And it's also true that it's just in your nature. And no matter how much women try to fight that, you know, I've had a lot of women tell me exactly that. And no matter how much they try to fight that, when you actually look at their life from the outside, it's like, yeah, but that's exactly what you're doing. You just choose shitty men to serve. Like, women don't, and it's not just women by any means, but in my experience, a lot of women, they don't tend to have a lot of, they don't self-analyze all that much. And there are definitely some, but just in general, and maybe this stems from, you know, a lack of parenting and feminism going back a lot farther than a single generation, as well as, you know, issues on the male side too. Not just a difference between men and women, but because there's a lot of things that are compounding by the time we get to our generation. You have feminism, you have hedonism, you have, you know, all of the different ways that they have tried to deconstruct our society. You have single parent households and all of this other stuff that all compound with each other. But I've noticed that most of the women that I have ever known never ask, why do I do this? Why do I do that? Why is it that I feel this way about this thing? And so they don't really understand why they do the things that they do.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, I shouldn't necessarily say women, because that's true of a lot of people. I know a lot of people, men and women, that they go their whole fucking lives without ever understanding themselves, even remotely. And I don't mean to claim that I understand myself perfectly, but I've noticed that I certainly am more introspective than a lot of people, and realize, okay, I probably do this and I overcompensate in these areas because this, because this happened to me, or because I did this earlier on, or whatever it is, right? I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes I like to think of it as if we took it all the way back to like caveman days. The man was meant to lead the woman. Why? Because he's stronger than her. He's faster than her. He can protect her.
Well, because
but
she
also
had to
because
rely
a
on him.
woman more than likely will operate on emotion and feeling rather than logic. And that's just natural. That's just how our brains operate. God made us this way for a reason.
Yeah, and I don't understand, like, I truly don't understand what's so bad about just accepting what's been known by humans for thousands of years. Like, we can always learn and build on it, absolutely, but what leftists try to do is throw out everything that we know for a fact to be true and start completely over with things that are very blatantly not true. Like, men can be women and women can be better men than men. We all blatantly know that's not true.
The men's population are pieces of shit. But so is probably about 10% of the women population. So then they try to blame all of the problems. And they like to, say like back in the 1950s, they like to reference it like it's some kind of, it was just normal that men beat their wives, and that
was
marital
never
rape
normal
was
or
going
accepted.
on all over the place.
It was never normal or accepted.
No.
Now, there were some slightly different attitudes to some very specific scenarios that we might consider to be sexual assault today or something, like a man being forceful with his wife in a particular instance. I don't want to be too specific because I'm not trying to... we would have to do a lot of investigating to speak factually about it, so I'm trying to be somewhat generic about it, but I've read before on this show a speech from Theodore Roosevelt, no. Theodore Roosevelt. So the first Roosevelt, 18 whatever, technically one of the first progressives. But putting that aside for a minute, it was a speech from him to the mothers of America, where he talks about how fucking garbage men that abuse their wives and especially their children are, and how important women are to the progress in the fabric of America, and all these things, all the way back in the 1800s. And we can go back further and find similar speeches from other notable people. That's just one I know offhand. It was never widely acceptable. What was more commonly true was that if, Tom and Nancy next door are arguing outside, it's not my business. And so if Tom's an asshole, well, Nancy has to actually come and say something to me before I can do something about it. Because I'm not going to get myself involved just because I think something's going on, whereas people are much more willing to do that today. And so to them, that's endorsing it. I'm not endorsing it. But if you're being beat by your husband and you refuse to tell anybody, what can we do about that? This is America, where people have freedom, including Nancy. She has the freedom to stay with an abusive husband if that's what she wants to do. And even still, those husbands tended to get their asses kicked and just everybody looked the other way, because it was never acceptable in this country. And I do want to point out that that's not necessarily true even today in other places in the world, but in most of the world. This country is an entirely unique place, which is why it's even more insulting to have to deal with these arguments today, when this country from the very get has been different, has always been different. And the men in this country have always been different. And like you were saying, you know, women love to say that, well, it's not like women rape men. I mean, of course it happens, but it's obviously at a much lower rate and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have to, choosing the bear, right? Because they have to fear men and stuff, as if men endorse the type of men that attack people, men or women. But there's also plenty of predatory women out there. No, they're not physically capable of abuse. They're emotionally capable of abuse. And they use their position in society, which is higher than a man's and always has been, to tear down a man that doesn't deserve to be. It happens all the time. There are just as many shady women out there as there are men. Just because it's a psychological or underhanded attack instead of an overt physical attack doesn't make it any less damning. It certainly leads to plenty of suicides. So there's this entire feminist thing where they just completely close off their mind to that reality as well, so that they can only focus on the one thing that we can all visually see.
Yep. Men are more likely, of course, to abuse their partners or spouses.
Physically, yes.
But women, yes, physically, I mean, but women go through ruining reputations and, like you said, tearing men down. But then when you see woman-on-woman relationships, lesbian couples, the rate of physical abuse is actually higher than men on women.
Like astronomically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they can beat each other up. And so that's the thing is, you know, the implication is women would never be the way men are. No, you'd be worse. Like, you'd be much worse. And the thing is, those men that take advantage of people and that abuse people, man or woman, we have to deal with them too. Like, that guy will just as easily assault me as he'll assault you. Now, he's less likely because he's probably a pussy and that's why he's beating up women, but he's still violent to me too. Now, I have to go and deal with it. Even though I've never touched a woman in my life, that man is still my responsibility if I happen to be the one that comes across him. That's just part of the responsibility that comes with the privilege of being stronger physically. Just like your responsibility is to sniff out those women that are trying to take advantage of the family or of the men in some way, shape, or form that is going to be harmful.
Mm-hmm.
If that
I have a
made
video
sense.
I want to play later. I'm just telling you so I don't forget. But I want to talk about something, and I forgot it. So
okay, well, I have something that dovetails with this.
Before I said something
about dealing with violent men.
So you said like women always say men are not like calling out the bad men.
Yes.
Well, I don't see very many women calling out the bad women either. Actually, there are these Facebook groups called "Are We Dating the Same Guy?" which, like feminism, started out as something that was good for women to report to other women that, like, hey, is this your husband or your boyfriend that I was with or is texting me or something? I feel like he is or something.
Right.
And to find the woman that is married or is the girlfriend of this guy, or to report guys who are abusive and blah, blah, blah. But it turned more into a thing where women just get to rant about men. And
yeah, it's just a hate men thing.
In the ones that are like in Oklahoma, where abortion is illegal up to like 4 or 6 weeks, something, it's not fully illegal yet, but they find ways to have abortions. They ask how they can get abortions, where's the closest place to them they can get an abortion, and things like that. That's not building up women. And of course, all the comments are just like, yeah, you go, girl, get that abortion. And like, anyone who comments in there and says that abortion is bad just gets roasted into oblivion.
Nobody wants to
Women
hear.
are more likely to support progressivism, abortion, all these things that we know are bad for our society.
They're more likely to support not questioning their actions. And really, this is, when it comes down to it, we end up in this spot all the time. When it comes down to it, the problem at large with our society, from both men and women, even if it is more one than the other or whatever, is lack of accountability for one's actions. I would say that is the root of basically everything. If you were to simplify everything back down, that's what it comes to. 9 times out of 10. Because that is the most fundamental necessity for a free society. It was Benjamin Franklin, right, that said it. A republic if you can keep it. And maybe, no, I don't think it was Benjamin Franklin that said this next one. But the one, our Constitution is designed for a moral and religious people and is wholly inadequate to the governing of any other.
Yeah, that was Jefferson or Adams.
I want to say it was Jefferson, but it was probably Adams. I thought it was some other guy. Like, I thought it was like a pastor or something.
It could have been some other guy.
He was still a founding father, but I thought it was somebody better known for something else. But to move this conversation along a little bit, let's talk about how this dovetails with two-parent households, because this goes into a story you have, it goes into a conversation I've recently had, so I think there's a lot we can talk here.
Okay.
Now, you and
Let me show my video first.
Okay, but hold on. Before we do that, you and I grew up in two very different situations. I'll let you explain yours because I don't want to, say anything that you don't want me to, and vice versa. But I grew up, I had both my parents in the house until I was about 6, 7 years old, right around there. My parents started splitting up. I stopped living in, I stayed living in my childhood home, but my dad moved out. Well, first my mom moved out, then my dad moved out. Anyway, the point is, until about 7, my parents got divorced at 8. I never lived in the same household with both my parents again. We got to see my dad like every other weekend for a while, and then we were supposed to see him half the weeks during the summer. That worked for a short period of time, and then my mom moved us pretty far away. Pretty much stopped seeing my dad at all. Occasionally, family member died or something, we'd go see him. And then, so I lived with my mom and eventually my stepdad. What about you?
I was born to two parents that were unwed, and my father was rarely around, and both my parents were drug addicts, so really both of them weren't around until I was 13 years old. Was the first time that DHS got involved, and they took us away from my parents, and then after about a year and a half, they deemed my parents to be worthy of having their kids back. And so then we went to live with my parents again for probably 6 to 8 months before my dad, they had to take mandatory drug tests in order to keep us, like weekly or something like that. And my dad went to take one of his drug tests, and they told me that he popped so high on it that he must have used in the parking lot and then gone into the facility to take his drug test. So at that point, I got put in the system for 2 or 3 years until I eventually ended up with an adopted family, and both my parents lost their rights to have kids. And then I was adopted at 16 years old. And then even at that point, I really wasn't getting any influence from my parents because I was just involved. I was working, playing sports, going to school, hanging out with friends, doing all the things teenagers do.
Right.
So.
But we both agree, correct, that the ideal scenario is a mother and a father in the home, right? That a child needs both a mother and a father. Why do you think that that's true?
because the Bible says so.
Pretty straightforward. I think
And
that
all the studies show how much better it is.
yeah, and we can talk about some of the there are a handful of studies that claim otherwise that are more recent, but the problem is it all stems from the incredibly biased period of the last 10 years, really.
Mhm.
And it's like every study in human history has denied that. So it's really hard to take those studies seriously. I agree. Obviously, the Bible says it that is enough, right? But then further, you don't have kids yet. I do, and you can see it. Aside from that, I saw it in myself growing up. I imagine you did too. And it's not that it must be a biological father and mother. That is the ideal scenario, but it's not that it must be. You can obviously, adopted parents can obviously fill the role adequately. Grandparents often do. But you still need a mother and a father. And sometimes even in rare occasions where the one parent that is there, let's say, boy grows up with a single mom, right? If that mom is working double overtime to make sure that her son has a father influence and finds a coach or a priest or whatever that is a significant father figure and make sure that the son is getting adequate attention from that person or whatever, then an outside person can even fill that role in those cases too. I had a friend that I call my mentor that absolutely didn't completely take that role, but filled in a lot of gaps that were missing because of that. But yeah, I just wanted to clarify. Obviously biological mother and father is most ideal, but it's not that it has to be that way. But you have to have a man and a woman, or that child is going to be missing something. And it's not that kids from single parents, of which I am one, of which kind of in a sense you are. I mean, you could say no parent, single parent. You could say a lot of things for you. It's not that a child of a single parent can't grow up and be successful, but they're going to face a lot more hurdles because of it. I think that's the best way to put it. What do you think? Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. You kind of start at a disadvantage,
And you are much more susceptible to certain pitfalls that a kid that had a competent mother and father just isn't. Like shady women. All right.
Yep.
This brings us to the video you have. Go ahead.
Finally. All right, you got it up.
Hang on here. There you go. Oh, why is it not? There we go.
This is from the movie McClintock.
Oh, this isn't the video I thought you were going to play. Go ahead. Oh, I have the other one.
You setting a new style?
That's McClintock, the guy with the cowboy hat and the red shirt.
Okay.
John Wayne. Here he comes. He's looking for his wife.
Mr. McClintock!
You gonna beat that ass? They're all like, let's watch him beat his wife's ass.
If I ever get through this humiliation, you'll rue the day you ever met me.
Oh, bellyache, fight all you want. It won't do you any good. You've been digging those burrs into me for 2 years. Now you're gonna get your comeuppance.
Look at all the kids watching.
My father would be proud of you.
With the American flag.
I'll make him prouder.
That's his new son-in-law. The woman to the left is his daughter.
Home. Don't spare the horse. Home. You heard me.
Don't think you're going to get rid of me that easy.
Yeah.
Now she's chasing him.
Isn't that funny?
No more living.
It's only like 20 seconds left. We'll just watch the rest of
No
this,
more
and
Newport
then I'll
season.
talk some more.
No more dancing at the governor's ball.
No, GW.
Happy day.
They finally made up.
10 times without a miss.
Oops, I did not mean to hit that.
All right, so why are
So,
you
yeah.
showing this evil, patriarchal, slop?
So if you haven't seen the movie,
I haven't.
Katie is McClintock's wife,
Okay.
and Katie had been separated from McClintock for a while and
Okay.
had even been threatening divorce. And then she finally comes back around, and they're both just bickering and
So she been whoring.
all these other things. And so then finally McClintock decides that he's gonna take it into his own hands. And actually the scene's much longer than that. That's a shorter version of it, but
Right.
he chases her all the way through the town. She started out in full dress wear, ends up in her bloomers. She falls into hay. She falls into the water trough, and then he finally gets a hold of her and spanks her. And then all of a sudden she's like, "I'll show you," by coming right back to you. And they finally made up.
So what was he trying to accomplish?
Making her submit to him.
Ah, okay. And it worked. Anyway, I'm not sure how exactly that fits in, but the video I thought you were going to play is the one that I have. I forgot I was supposed to have it, not you.
I think it's funny. Her name's Katie. I think only you would know why, though.
Oh, it's definitely funny. All right. I told you I had the video. What did I do with the video? There it is. Okay. So this video's been making rounds on X the last few days, to a lot of people's disgust, and others, I don't even know what you would call it.
Who do you want, Dada or Pop? No, Mama. Do you want Dada or Pop? Who do you want, Dada or Pop? No. Do you want Dada? You want Pop? No way, Jose. No way, Jose. I think. Oh. There is no Mama. I'm so sorry. You have Dada and you have Pop. Two choices. No Mama. No. No. No, Mama. Dada or Pop? No. Who do you want, Dada or Pop?
All right, so that's the video you asked me to play. Why?
Well, first off, I don't like it. I don't, obviously, since everything we just talked about, I don't condone it.
Don't
Two
condone. Let's be
men raising a
specific.
child.
Okay.
Well, especially two gay men. I'm not saying that there are some situations where two men might end up raising a child and it would be fine. But two gay men raising a child, I do not think is a good thing. But everyone's outraged about this because they're saying that he's making fun of the child for wanting its mom.
Yeah.
And I don't really interpret that as them like making fun of the child for
No, I
not
don't-
wanting its mom or for wanting its mom.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I get the outrage because I don't like gay men and in general, and also I don't like gay men raising children. But
well, I don't have a problem with gay men, but yeah, I just think that what you choose to do is fine, but you can't make a baby. You don't get to steal a baby. And a lot of people will argue, well, what about all the kids that are raised in foster homes and stuff? Well, we can have that conversation. I still lean against it just simply because of the science behind it. Not so much that I have some sort of personal whatever, but the science behind it says that's not gonna turn out well for the kid. But put that aside, like, just because you can scientifically turn two gay men into having a baby with a surrogate doesn't mean it's a good idea. That kid is always going to want a mom, whether it ever admits it or not, and whether it ever knows why it feels like something's missing from its life or not. It may never understand, why it feels lesser than, but there is a place for a mother figure and a father figure. And by that I mean a man and a woman. And I don't think that we need to be creating kids to put them into less than ideal scenarios. We can talk about the kids that are already in bad scenarios and, well, maybe this is a better scenario than the bad scenario. Maybe so. That's different from creating kids to put them in bad scenarios. And it's not that just to be clear too, like, I'm not saying that gay men are inherently evil people or anything like that. We all live in sin, right? It's that I wouldn't let two straight dudes raise a baby either. Like, if it's the dude's kid, well, there's not much we can say or do about that. But if it's just two straight dudes trying to, get a surrogate to have a baby because they couldn't find women and just decided, hey, we're friends, we'll raise a baby together, why not? I wouldn't be cool with that either. It has nothing to do with, your sexual preference. It has to do with the baby. And yeah, I don't, some people took this over the top claiming that they're mocking the baby. The baby wouldn't fucking understand being mocked anyway. And while this baby is saying what sounds like mama, I don't think it's, and I don't know, maybe it does have an instinctual, like, where the fuck is the woman with tits?
I don't know the full story behind this. Like, have they raised this baby? Like, did the woman give birth to it and immediately go in their possession? Or
I believe it was a
it
surrogate
with
baby,
a mother
so
up
yes.
until this moment? And this is the first moment it hasn't been with its mother.
I believe this was a surrogate baby. So yes, it would have been theirs from the day it was born. But the baby bonds with the mother and starting in pregnancy, not starting at birth. So it's not like you can just replace that, and it's like, let me try putting it in a way that maybe somebody who doesn't agree with us might understand. A cat can sit on a chicken egg and raise a chicken. It doesn't mean that you can start replacing chicken parents with cats. Just because it works out somewhat okay in a bad scenario doesn't mean we start putting chicken eggs under cats to let them raise them. Like, I don't know.
That's a great analogy.
It was a terrible analogy, but yeah. Go read the fucking
just
Ugly
because
Duckling.
you can doesn't mean you should.
Exactly. And I just don't think,
And don't pull out of your ass, oh yeah, but look at this kid. He was raised by two dads and he's completely perfectly fine and heterosexual. He married a woman and had kids and he's had no problems in his life whatsoever. Okay, I don't give a shit. Show me how many don't.
Yeah. Well, and also, you never know what's actually going on in somebody's life and or head.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, kids who are raised by gay parents, they're going to naturally be defensive of their parents because it is the only parents they know. They're not going to want to admit that there's even anything slightly wrong. But we know there has to be, because straight regular parents screw up their kids too. So there's going to be some level of it. But the fact is, if you are a thinking person at all and you have raised a child, you can see exactly what that child is needing from mom and exactly what that child is needing from dad, and at what point in time. It's not difficult. It's very obvious. They need the loving and the nurturing from mom, and they need the sternness from dad. And it doesn't matter how much dad tries to pretend to be mom or mom tries to pretend to be dad. There's going to be several points where it doesn't matter how hard you're trying, you just can't meet that role. For example, with the single mother, even if a single mother recognizes, okay, I have to be a loving mother, but I have to be a stern father figure for my son too, because he doesn't have one, and is able to balance that fairly well, there's going to become a point in time, which is the same point in time, we've talked about it before, for every young man, that they challenge their father. Well, if their father is their mother, this is going to turn into disaster. Either the kid's going to beat up his mom, or mom's going to lose entire control of the kid. One of the two at the age of 12 to 14, somewhere in there. Well, maybe 11 to 15, I don't know. It varies depending on the kid, obviously. But that's just one example. Anyway, anything else you want to...
Especially if you happen to be like a bad mom.
Well, yeah, it's even worse in that case,
raised,
but...
having weird premonitions of the world, and also knowing that the one authority figure that he had, he was stronger than, and could hurt her or do whatever he needed. Unlike if there's a father and you try to discipline that child, because one day that child could just be like, I'm tired of this discipline, and just turn around and beat the shit out of his mom. He ain't gonna do that to his dad.
Well, hopefully not.
More than likely
there are
not,
plenty of dads that fail too, but even still.
Yes. I'm just saying more likely.
Yeah.
In the perfect scenario.
The point is, the mom has no hope. The dad has the capability and may fail.
And it's not just to say that all women are bad or something.
No.
It's that
they can't be a man.
Turns out bad, and sometimes there's nothing you can do about that. You can be the best parent ever, and you just get a rotten child that gets weird information from here, or especially with the internet and stuff, hears things they shouldn't, and gets weird ideas about things, and all of a sudden they have no one who can actually control them.
I wonder if, there's obviously a long debate on whether some people are just born bad, right? Because kids that are psycho or whatever, all kids are pretty narcissistic and even somewhat psychopathic as children, because they have, they're completely dependent on their parents. They don't have to worry about anybody but themselves. They don't have any responsibilities. They're supposed to grow out of that. I mean, that's part of parenting is parenting the psychopath out of your child. There's a reason why we don't diagnose children as psychopaths, as narcissists, whatever, because they all possess some of those traits to varying degrees. There's some question as to whether some kids are just born as psychopaths, though, and will always be psychopaths. And I forget what the other one is. What's the third part of the triangle? You have narcissist, psychopath, and...
Sociopath?
Sociopath, yeah. And that's the one that's like super bad, right? Like feels absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But anyway, I'm not, I don't know that I believe it to be true. I think that kid, either something happened to them as a child, or they were missing something that they desperately needed at a crucial time. Because the thing is, you can't always replace these things whenever, right? So if a kid is raised by a single mom, goes through to 18 with just a mom in the house, doesn't have the father figure at all these critical milestones, You can't just fill those in later necessarily. Now, maybe you can. If you're lucky, you can. But generally speaking, once those milestones are gone, they're gone, and there's no going back and correcting that specifically. Now it's on the kid to correct that. And to be clear, if that's you, you were raised without your father or your mother or both or whatever, when you turn 18, it is your responsibility to fix whatever they fucked up. It is on you to be a normal, functioning, productive member of society. You can't just blame your parents the rest of your life. But only you can do it at that point, I think is what I'm getting at. And if you didn't have those things, it's going to be that much harder for you to figure out what you need to do to correct that. Which is why I think so many are in therapy today. The rate of, and you mentioned some of these statistics in your opening monologue, the rate of antidepressants, of young adults that have therapists or are on, various drugs or whatever is absolutely incredible. We need to, by the way, this is entirely unrelated, but we need to look into certain medical epidemics through time, like AIDS and things like that. I want to say like Ebola and stuff too, but maybe those are too short term. But it seems to me that it's very clear that some of these things, like, they were huge deals for a short period of time and then just completely went away. Almost as if... Anyway, that's completely unrelated, but... Alright, let's go on to the next story here. I'm gonna have to scroll down for just a second to get to this video. So this is actually a couple days old. You guys might have seen this video already elsewhere on the internet, but we actually have a follow-up to it. Austin sent this to me a few days ago. Here it is. So this is... this was in Oklahoma? I didn't realize that. Principal Kirk Moore in Oklahoma, kid came in to shoot up the school, and this principal, instead of trying to negotiate with him, instead of trying to whatever, he acted. And he got shot in the process. I'll let it play twice since it was kind of... There is no audio, but you see, assistant principal finally gets off his ass, comes over, kicks the gun away. You can see the kid comes in, racks the gun, points it at this kid, and he tried to shoot him. I don't know what happened there. If he did shoot him or not. But obviously, an absolute hero. And this is the kind of decisive action that prevents people dying. Prevents kids dying. And that we expect... and this is something that has really pissed me off in certain, not all, because not all have had the opportunity, but in certain mass shootings in the past. This is what we expect from teachers, from principals, from anybody at the school. Because you are taking custody of our children for a certain period of time a day. We give you a salary for doing this. One of your jobs is teaching them. The other one of your jobs is fucking protecting them. The same as we are. You don't let us in the schools anymore, so now we have to fully rely on you. And the fact that we can't get, we can't get the schools to harden themselves, we can barely get them to keep the fucking doors locked, the fact that they all act like, well, it's not my job. Well, you have our kids, so whose job is it? And so shout out to this principal for acting and not trying to negotiate, not trying to, don't just fucking kick his ass and take the gun. Because that's what you have to do. But there's a follow-up to this video. Like I said, this was a few days ago. A lot of people have probably heard of it by now. But this principal, who was, in fact, so in that altercation, he was shot in the leg. Well, he returned to the school a few days later during prom night, I believe. And this is that reception. Here it is. So they give him prom king. They didn't give him a teenage girl to be prom queen, did they? Oh, fuck, they did. Oh, no, it's his wife, okay.
I was gonna say, that's either another teacher or his wife.
He's like, guys, this is, I can't accept this payment. It's fucked up, I'm sorry. Anyway, credit where it's due. I don't really have anything to say about this story. He did the right thing. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
He just deserves to be recognized for doing so, because so few people do these days.
He wins the Miller Talk Hero of the Month award.
Hey, what's the prize for that? What's the prize for the Miller Talk Hero of the Month award?
A shout out on the show.
Weak.
That's all I got to offer, man. I'm sorry. I was hoping he wouldn't ask that question. Now I look like an asshole.
We're told every day that China is just leaps and bounds ahead of us. China is leaps and bounds ahead of us. They're going to just exterminate us if we were to ever go to war or cross China in some way. And after seeing these robots, I'm genuinely concerned. I don't know about you, but I'm terrified.
Mm-hmm.
I love how they spaz out when they fall down. They got a stretcher for it. Get the stretcher. It would have been even better if they came over with a quart of oil for a blood transfusion. I think we need to see that again. Can you even call that a speed bump? Literally all they had to do was start it there. 2 lines up. And they didn't think, fuck, he might not be able to make it over that.
You are a casual who buys EMPs and black tip rounds. I'm the Chad genius who just surrounds my house with 2-inch bumpers.
And can't pronounce the word genius.
Mm-hmm. That's a common thing among geniuses.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
So, I hate to embarrass America like this, but I just want to show in comparison the difference between, how far behind America is to catching up to that genius from Japan. Or, sorry, China. Japan.
Like, wow, don't shit on Japan like that.
I mean, as you can see from the get, it is already a bigger robot because it needs probably more power. It's but all right. hilarious if they both backflipped and then flipped off the camera.
I was about to say, I don't think most Americans can even do that. And then they did backflips, and I was like, well, most Americans definitely can't.
Definitely can't do that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's embarrassing, but what can I say? Here's the upgraded version, actually. It appears we have since gotten worse. Although it is a smaller robot. We probably stole this from China, is most likely what happened here.
This one's much more humanoid.
See, look, it has to crawl. It can't even walk. The Chinese one walked 2 full steps before it's self-destructing. I don't like that its head looks like Jibo.
Oh yeah. Oh, look, it can break dance. Wow.
Woohoo! And just for good measure,
Bumblebee.
all right, get to the cool stuff. It is pretty amazing when you consider Boston Dynamics has been working on this for the last like 20 some years and Tesla for like 5.
Well, Elon Musk just steals everyone's ideas.
Did you see the Russian one? Yeah, between China and Russia, we are in a, you know, in a bad way, and I'll show you that here in a minute.
Oh wow! You can pick up and set down an egg without cracking
it. He better get in a Cybertruck and drive it. That's what I want to see.
Well, the Cybertruck can drive itself, so.
Well, I know, but it'd be even cooler if it had a robot driving it.
A robot? Well, it is a robot driving itself.
You know what? If you could just fuck off with all that right now.
I don't care.
Optimus, you're fucking up, buddy.
Women are out already. It can sweep things up, grab paper towels from a roll, and it can stir pots.
Women are fucked.
They're so screwed.
Yeah, because I hear they can put vaginas on these things too.
Push microwave buttons, close the curtain. One singular neural network.
All right, let me find the Russian one real fast.
Robot's pretty cool. Before you know it, they'll be doing my job.
So this comes from a country called Idle in Mother Russia. And this is by far the creepiest robot so far. It is clearly stronger and more virile than the American version. You know, you could call the Tesla robot a soy boy. This right here is a man. And much like the Chinese, far, far, far more advanced than anything America's got going on.
Behold, the mighty Russian-made AI robot, ADOL. Behold it fall flat on its face.
Oh, he's
The
just
humanoid robot was the first of its kind from Russia.
It's like a
Moscow
1950s.
debut this week was much hyped. When
It's like
Adol
a
appeared from the
1950s
wings
robot toy
to the
that,
theme
you know-
from Rocky, it had a stomping kind of gait. The Bolshoi this was not. Adol made its way to the front of the stage, waving to the crowd, and then face planted. Maybe it was taking a cue from Drago, the Russian boxer Rocky Balboa decked in Rocky IV.
Okay, but this is missing stupid Inside Edition. This is missing the best part. The best part is when they try and hide it. Oh shit. You weren't supposed to stop, Adol. Look at this guy. He can't even... You know when you have the curtain pre-prepared just in case? Like, you can't even get the curtain out straight.
Barack Obama surprises painful. Oh, I couldn't treat it.
So,
Oh, man.
I don't know about you, but I will definitely be investing in Adol.
Gonna invest in Adol.
Whatever that damn thing was. This is the Chinese robot
Stop!
again.
What are you doing? That's my mirror. What are you doing? Stop!
This
One of
thing
your
is so
units just
funny.
ran into my mirror and is causing damage. I'm a little worried. That's not gonna work. Oh my god. My wall is slightly damaged.
Yes.
Cody's landlord.
The robot is going rogue. Let's say that I'm an 8-year-old and it's just me and Terminator 12,000 here. Would I be able to get away from it? Does it see me?
It's looking right at you.
Now we're going to be testing the robot in residential
pretty funny.
applications to see if it's safe. Alright, come on, stand up.
Whoa!
Oh my god.
He's got a maid outfit
I need
on.
you to cook me a meal. I
I
need
just
protein.
noticed that.
It needs to be healthy. It's a gas stove. Be careful. You see yourself? That's a mirror. Yeah. You stupid idiot. Alright, cook a meal. No.
Neither.
That's a waste.
Exactly how I treat it.
Stop! Settle down! So if you can cook me the meal, I'm gonna go on in here and play Fortnite, okay? Yeah. What the All I do is clean up after you.
Daddy, chill.
Shut it off! Somebody shut it off! Get out of my house! Now we're gonna do the burglary test.
Oh.
Get back! I'm very curious if the robot can bust through the door into my house.
It's gonna break through the door.
I think so too.
I changed my mind again.
Genuinely, if this is a robot or a human, I'm actually putting way more money on the robot coming through. You hear something? Okay.
Breaking in.
Here you go. Here you go.
Yep.
That's terrifying.
Oh no!
Oh, nice.
Anyway.
It's here,
Wow.
the first
I
humanoid
didn't see
robot
anything from Whistling
housekeeper.
Diesel in a
Thank you,
while.
Neo. For $20,000, you can pre-order one.
The only reason well, besides that one that came across my feed a long time ago, was because they raided him for tax evasion or whatever.
What?
Yeah, and they busted down his gate. He's like, you guys could have just knocked. I'd have let you in.
Just like Afro Man.
Just like Afro Man. Shout out to Afro Man.
Yeah. I used to watch all his videos, but then there was like something weird that happened with him and his worker, and I didn't really take anyone's side, and I thought they were both just handled it awful. And so I kind of just quit watching him also because his content kind of became repetitive.
He makes his money off the kids, you know, which is fine. Whatever. Do your thing.
Yeah, I didn't have any hard feelings against him or nothing. I just kind of quit watching his stuff, so.
Yeah. So, having watched that and seeing the leaps and bounds that Chinese technology is over America's, The Belarusian president recently has told us that the Iran war has proven America incompetent and that we could never take on a military superpower like China. To be honest, I don't think this is the right video. Hang on. So this is China's newest supercarrier, which, by the way, has been forced back into port like 3 times since they unveiled it a couple months ago. It's a horrid design.
With tofu.
Yeah, it's a horrid design. Stuff. I've showed you the Chinese Coast Guard boat that hit the Philippines boat, put like a little tiny dent, which is an American boat, put like a little tiny dent in it and just shaved off, like crumpled like a tin can. The Chinese boat. This was made by the same place, so there's that. But anyway, here's the Belarusian president saying that.
Do you see a day? You are one of the people who is leading a move for a brave new world in the future. You may not be around. I may not be around. Maybe we're too old to see this, but maybe our children will see this. Where countries like North Korea, Belarus, Iran, China, Russia, South Africa, Brazil, I could go on, where these countries become a formidable enough force to not defeat the West, but stand next to them as equals. Do you see that day coming? And is that part of what drives you?
Well, you sound like God. God willing, that time will come. I hope such a time arrives. Based on the current situation and circumstances, it's hard for me to believe that this time will come. But despite some foolishness and some impulsiveness, Trump did a lot for this. Trump showed the whole world that your United States of America is not all-powerful.
Niet a superpower.
By its power, it is a superpower, but not a superforce. Everyone has understood this, and America's main enemy is China. If the Americans couldn't handle Iran, as I've said long ago, then they should not mess with China. They will never be able to deal with that kind of power. The US leadership understood that they are a superpower, but not a superforce. This understanding gives hope that once the Americans realize this, they will have to consider not only China and Russia. Russia is such a vast territory that they won't achieve anything with missiles.
So, before I let him get to the rest of his point there, it truly baffles me. Put the Belarusian president aside. It truly baffles me that anybody can watch what took place in Iran, can watch what took place in Venezuela, and not be absolutely terrified being an enemy of the West, whether they're, Belarus isn't necessarily an enemy, but they place themselves as a adversary, let's say. For a leader of a country to be so foolish is truly mind-boggling, because even people that hate Trump have to look at the strategic, overwhelming capability that we demonstrated in Venezuela and in Iran and go, shit. Like, they're not just as good as they said they were, they're better. And that matters because after the Afghan withdrawal under Joe Biden, the world was starting to believe, and this is why Russia invaded. Remember, Russia didn't invade under Trump the first time. Russia invaded under Biden because Russia believed we were a paper tiger, because for a long time we hadn't really been proven. And then in 2 missions, China hasn't threatened Taiwan since we went in to Iran. They still do their bullshit drills and whatever, but they haven't said anything even remotely close to the threats they were making prior to these 2 missions. Here's his claim, though.
The missiles will run out faster than the territory of Russia. Iran has shown this too. I'm not even talking about the consequences. The Middle East, the global economy, and so on, they've suffered from this reckless adventure in Iran. I'm not going to discuss that. The facts are clear. They've shown that you Americans need to stop and understand that beyond US interests, Greenland, Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua, the Panama Canal, and other parts of the Western Hemisphere, there are countries with their own interests, even within your hemisphere. But Trump has done a lot. Bad things, as we understand, and you do too. But he's also revealed the true face of the United States and its capabilities to the world. They are not limitless. This situation may lead to Americans being forced to consider other interests, which means that a bright future isn't far off.
So, counterpoint. What we've seen in Iran is quite literally the tip of the sword. Like, we hit them with anything we could hit them from a distance, short of our most valued possessions. You know, we didn't hit them with the biggest bombs we have. We certainly didn't hit them with any nukes. We didn't hit them with intercontinental ballistic missiles or anything. We shot them with our medium and far range, you know, near top category equipment, and then most of our basement equipment. We didn't put any boots on the ground. We didn't put any vehicles or tanks or anything else on the ground. We didn't go relentless on them. We went with surgical strikes. We did almost nothing that we are capable of doing. We weren't carpet bombing Iran. We were hitting very specific interest in a country as vast as Iran. Within like 4 fucking days, we took out all of their military capability, spare a few random missiles scattered in hills in different places, and drones. And by now, as we've seen, you know, within the, by what was it, the 3rd week, they had gone from firing hundreds of drones and missiles a day, thousands at the beginning, to like 5, 10 at the most. And now, I don't remember the last time they fired one. I guess it was at, they tried to lob 2 at Diego Garcia, one of which we shot down before it ever left Iranian territory. The other one barely made it into the water and just fell. Our capabilities are far beyond what even the average American believed they were. Obviously, you don't fight empty wilderness territory. It doesn't matter how big Russia is.
Mm-hmm.
Nonetheless.
I think that was incredibly stupid for him to say that.
Yeah. Yeah, just a little bit. But there's genuinely a segment out there of people that hate this country that believe that shit. Which, whatever, but...
Trans youth.
Going to our conversation earlier about pushing these leftist ideals about men and women and raising children and all that. This is a video of Seattle Superintendent of Public Schools, Chris Reichdahl, one of the biggest pieces of shit in the country, very recently. And the only really purpose for playing this video is to show you that these people have not gone anywhere. Many are still in positions of power here in blue states, and they will come right back if you let them in the next election.
We have a civil rights framework in this state. It includes trans youth. This is a biological question. It is quite simply inaccurate to say biologically that there are only boys and there are only girls.
What?
It's quite simply inaccurate to say that, Austin.
There's a continuum. There is a science to this. There are children who are born intersex. There are children whose chromosomes and their hormones aren't consistent with their sex at birth.
Correct. 0.0001% of the population. We call those abnormalities.
That's not a debate we're going to have today. I just want to remind you of our civil rights obligation. Our state laws make clear that students get to identify and participate in activities based on the gender in which they identify. We're going to uphold that law. We have a civil rights framework.
Like I said, the only point is to demonstrate that these people will come right back if you let them in November. They have not gone anywhere. They do not believe any different. So yesterday, you weren't able to make it for the show, but I read those tweets of Trump's, with one specifically telling Netanyahu to fuck off, basically, and that he is done waging war in Lebanon, whether he wants to or not. And of course, the Trump is controlled by Bibi and the Jews crowd. They've been awful silent about this for the last 24 hours since he tweeted it, and I'm quite confused by that. What do you think about this situation? You think Trump is, in fact, controlled by Bibi, and Bibi had him tweet that to make him look bad?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Mm.
He actually has access to
Trump's Truth,
his X account and Truth Social.
Got his password like an overbearing boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, guys, if you feel the need to need your girlfriend's social media password, she is cheating on you, and just leave, because getting the password is not going to stop that. It's not going to do you any good. Anyway, we actually have video now of Trump and Netanyahu in the conversation they had that led to that tweet from Trump. This is actually breaking here on the JBU Miller Talk podcast.
Live show.
Listen to people because of your fucking shit? You better get your own fucking army, pal. I'm what counts out here. You know, I get calls from back home every fucking day. They think you went batshit. You wanted to go on TV.
Yeah, I did want to go on TV. That way I have a forum. I can fight back. I'm known. People see me. They know they can't fuck around with me like they could if I was an unknown. That's right.
Get this through your head, you Jew motherfucker, you. You only exist out here because of me. That's the only reason. Without me, you, personally, every fucking wise guy still around, will take a piece of your fucking Jew ass. Then where you gonna go? Your fucking warrant don't ever go over my fucking head again, you motherfucker, you. I listen to people because of your
I love Joe Pesci.
Don't ask how JBU was able to get a camera into the meeting. Let's just say it pays to be the underdog sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That brings us to... Did you have anything else?
I mean, I got some stuff. But where are you going?
Well, I was gonna take the next one as the last story, at least the last main story for the day, just because it's a little bit longer. But if you have something else, you can go ahead and...
I have completely unrelated stuff, so not really stories or anything, just some videos we could talk about or something. You know, could save it for tomorrow. It could be today. It doesn't matter.
All right. Well, let's do this story, and if there's, if we want to keep going a little longer, we can do that. And otherwise, we'll save them for tomorrow. Tomorrow's Sunday show, so plenty of.
Gonna be more relaxed. Just by the way, if you're listening, we're a little more chill on Sunday evenings.
Get rid of that.
If you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, share, tell your mom about us. MillerTalk.substack.com. MillerTalk_pod on X. Go follow.
Let me put those up on screen real quick. And x.com/JBU_show. Or like I said, rumble.com/user/justbetweenus. And you can join the conversation. Tell us we're fucking wrong. Call us idiots. Whatever you want to do. You can call in anytime by clicking on the Discord link in the description of the Rumble video. Otherwise, like, follow, share on X for both the MillerTalk_pod and JBU_show pages. Helps us with the algorithm and all that good stuff. Anyway.
And if you enjoyed the monologue from the beginning of this show and you're still here from the beginning of the show, I will be posting that to Substack.
I lost all my viewers after you were done with that, but sorry, go ahead.
I will be posting that to Substack so you can share it or read it again if you'd like to, or send it to your friend or some liberal you're arguing with on X, you know, whatever you might do.
To your mom, to your doctor, send it to your dog. I hear most of them have fucking
Your 2-year-old nephew, send it to him. It's a lot better than Coco Melon. Or I mean, Miss Rachel.
Okay, I was like, what? I think just about anything is better than Miss Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, Miss Rachel should be a hate crime, but you know, we're nicer than that, so it isn't.
We should deport her. Or is she American?
I don't know.
I actually don't know.
I really don't care.
She may or may not be.
But whether she is or isn't, deport.
We will, if she isn't, we will export her here just to deport her somewhere else.
Sounds like a plan. All right. This next story comes from Our Changing Climate. And it's going to introduce us to a term that was new to me and perhaps to you. But I couldn't pass up.
I don't know. I know a lot of things, so.
That's true. That's true. You know a lot more than I do. I couldn't pass up, based on this title, the opportunity for us to all learn together. This is titled, What the World After Capitalism Could Look Like.
In this time of uncertainty where fascists are seizing power...
Oh, shit. Hold on. I gotta slow it back down.
Chaos supercharges disasters, killing thousands and displacing millions, where a whole world is content watching settler colonial genocide unfold, it can feel hard to see any light at the end of the tunnel.
Settler colonial genocide. Just throwing that right in there. And also, yes, I can tell that I didn't slow it down enough. All right.
It feels like the future is grim. But all is not lost. The future can be beautiful and bright. A future where our needs are met, our communities and our environments thrive, and we all feel fulfilled in our daily life.
Wouldn't that just be amazing? I feel like that would just be amazing.
But to bring about that world, we need to escape the confines of capitalism, imagining and then building a world free of capitalist exploitation and destruction, an eco-socialist world. Today we dive into that vision.
Okay, so that is the new and key term. What is eco-socialism? I fucking love that term because it marries together
of the future. What does it mean? What would an eco-socialist world actually look like? And why giving shape to that world in our imaginations is crucial for building radical movements in the here and now. It feels like hope is a dwindling flame in the dark, that change is impossible. But we can and must rid ourselves of that notion. We need to light a spark under that dwindling flame and imagine a better world for ourselves and our communities. We can't just surrender to the exploitation and destruction of capitalism. Indeed, as educator Ashley C. Ford writes, the goal of oppressors is to limit your imagination about what is possible without them, so you might never imagine more for yourself and the world you live in. As I covered extensively in this video, hope must not be just a feeling. It's a revolutionary act. It's a tool that gives us a North Star, a heading from which we might chart a course to a more liberatory and just world outside the depravities of capitalism. Because to transform and topple our current system of fossil capitalism, to build movements, we need as much world building as we do critique. We need to envision what a zero-carbon liberatory world might look like so that we have something to fight.
Flying cars, yep.
A zero-carbon liberatory world. I thought we were talking about eco-socialism. And when did zero carbon become part of this?
Yeah, how can you get to zero carbon? I'd like you to explain that.
No, he didn't explain that. We're just assuming that eco-socialist liberatory worlds are zero carbon.
Okay.
FYI, you are primarily made of carbon.
You are a carbon-based life form, and so is everything else on this earth. So
that's alive, yeah. Yeah, I guess primarily you're made of water, but you are a carbon-based life form. Thank you.
Not just against. As environmental historian and author of Half Earth Socialism, Troy Vitesse argues in a conversation I had.
When you see that guy, virality is definitely the word. Toughness, man, I think, really, is the word that comes to mind.
Had had with him a while back.
That having this utopia, this end goal, is very useful because that actually glues together your coalition. That actually binds you together.
Luckily, there are so many beautiful visions of a future based on the needs of the people and the planet. From video games like Terra Nil, or all the varied visions of Solarpunk, or even the Pan-African ecotech utopia of Wakanda. Unfortunately, these pieces of art often lack political
figure out a way to get
direction
it in
and
there.
insight, which is why we must define and give shape to the political systems that might actually produce those visions.
The only things I can compare to are things that are fake and made up. So,
exactly.
Eco-socialism. For Candace Dixon, working at an Amazon fulfillment facility meant risking injury every single day. And that day eventually came, as she threw out her back and then was made to go back to work quickly for fear of losing her job.
I got injured. I pulled my back out.
Her doctor told her to limit heavy lifting, but she says Amazon sent her back to work, still dealing with heavy boxes, and her injury got worse.
Unfortunately, Candace Dixon is not alone. Amazon's workplace injury rate is almost double that of the industry average, as workers are forced to labor at speed to bring profits to the likes of Jeff Bezos. And there are so many more and worse life-threatening industries that prioritize profits over life and the planet. This is life under capitalism, a system based on the accumulation of...
Real quick, so that big-ass coal dredging machine they just showed and then pointed a little arrow that said profit over life, that was built under socialism. Matter of fact, I gotta put it back on screen real quick. It is actually... Oh, fuck. I fucked her, bud. I'm sorry.
Oh.
In this time...
I don't know what it is about these fucking... See, it will not let me click. I'll just go like this. There we go. There it is. Perfect. So it says profit over life and planet. So this was built under socialism. That was built in the USSR in East Germany. This is East Germany. It was put to sleep by nuclear power and natural gas and all of the things that Germany was using until they decided to go zero carbon. And they closed down all their gas, all their coal, all their nuclear plants for wind and solar. And as we all know, their costs went through the roof. They were not able to keep the power on. They had to go back to burning massive tons of coal, which means they had to bring back to life the socialist fucking coal miner. That's what this is a coal dredger. Because there's this big-ass field of coal there in Eastern Germany. And so that's what this does, is it goes back and forth. But it's so fucking ironic to me that this was built under socialism. This is a collectivist thing.
Life and the planet. This is life under capitalism, a system based on the accumulation of profits and capital. We need a vision of a world that runs wholly counter to this.
I don't think that's what it's based on.
Eco-socialism, a system based on the needs of both people and the planet. While there will not be and cannot be one singular vision of how eco-socialism might work, there are a number of different through lines that run through the manifestos and agendas of leftists. And books like The Red Deal, A People's Green New Deal, Half-Earth Socialism, The Future is Degrowth, and so many more point the way. To sum up, many of these visions, in their own way, seek to wrestle free from the oppressive shackles of capitalism, the shackles of worker exploitation, the shackles of racism, the shackles of colonialism, the shackles of patriarchy, the shackles of ableism, and the shackles of ecological destruction.
Ecocide. I love that word. Austin, there have been many socialist countries in the world.
Mm-hmm.
How many of them freed you from the shackles of capital, ableism, racism, and all the other bullshit he mentioned?
Well, every single one of them they did. They're going so well right now.
Well, in the sense that everybody died equally hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're right. That was great for the planet. Lots of fertilizer. Less humans to destroy things. It was great for racism because all the racists died. All the black people did too, but
think about
all
how
the racists
many
died.
Tons of carbon you save by just eliminating those people that fart.
Pesky humans, yeah. So what I don't understand about these people is like how in their mind they can't wrap their head around the fact that we are natural to this planet too. We were born here too. We are every bit as natural as oil or a plant or a kangaroo or a fucking polar bear. Anyway.
To do so, however, requires a radically different mode of production. One where workers own, control, and decide what gets made and when. That mode could be eco-socialism, an economic and political...
What? Here's our different mode of production. They still produce things the exact same, but they own it.
Well, workers decide, Austin. Workers decide. Which would be utterly useless if you know anything about running a business because your workers don't know shit.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple.
System that calls for a worker and peasant-led revolution that rips ownership of production away from the elite and puts decision
away from the smart people that know how to do things and puts it in the hands of the morons that can't feed themselves.
Why is it always a thing that we just assume the elite people are bad? Well, they have to be bad, right? Because they're in a better status than I am. So they cannot be, you know, I am infallible, but those elites, they are completely fallible all the time.
You're starting to understand. You're getting it. They are
Or
wrong.
I do that backwards.
Always.
I don't know, but...
Well, yeah, they're not infallible. They're fallible. Always. But yeah, anyway.
Making power into the hands of the masses. Unlike capitalism, which prioritizes decisions based on the endless creation of products to sell for more profit, eco-socialism advocates for an economy that makes decisions based on the well-being of all people and the planet. Because one of the foundational tenets of eco-socialism must be that the fruits of everyone's labor aren't funneled into the coffers of a single capitalist, but instead distributed according to people's needs. In the famous words of Karl Marx, from each according to their ability, to each according to their needs.
One person to distribute.
Correct.
You're just distributing it a different way.
Well, what
you're letting the government decide where it gets distributed.
What they're implying is that it will be perfectly equally distributed, except a human still has to distribute it, and humans are fallible and greedy,
and there still has to be an elite.
Selfish.
There's still gonna always be an order. You're not gonna get rid of the society's order.
No, and all that socialism has ever actually created, the only thing it's aimed to destroy is the only thing it's ever created, which is a more powerful elite. The ones that get to decide. Because they now, instead of controlling this little thing that I created, I have a fucking watchmaking business. Instead of getting to make the decisions about the watchmaking business, now I'm in charge of everything, and I get to make decisions about everything. And of course, I'm going to take 10 off the top for myself.
But what would that actually entail? What kind of world could foster a good life for all and a harmonious connection with the natural world? To start, any eco-socialist project would need to build out a robust system of free, universal, basic services. An eco-socialist world must supply what capitalist systems are loath to provide for fear of workers no longer needing to deflate their wages just to live.
Yes, that's what it is. Notice how he states something about equal socialism and then inserts conjecture about capitalism. Capitalism fears doing these things because workers won't deflate their wages just to live for free goods or whatever. Like, none of that is true. So you're basing this position on bullshit. I mean, it's all bullshit anyway, but whatever. And so the question is, okay, so the starting point is we need to provide these free basic services. Who is going to provide these services for free? Let's see if he answers that question.
Free goods and services required for a good life. As Sean Blackmon from the Party for Socialism and Liberation notes,
under a socialist government, every person would have unrestricted access to food, clothes, shelter, healthcare, quality education, and gainful employment.
Universal services means a nationalized or even global healthcare system where you no longer have to go deep into debt to get basic or advanced medical care. It means free childcare for those who need it and generous compensation for those who wish to care for their kids full time. It means extensive and free mental health services as we unpack the traumas of past oppression under capitalism. Free education from pre-kindergarten through college is also a must because critical thinking and curiosity need to blossom in an eco-socialist world. Importantly, all of this work is non-extractive and low carbon. These are inherently green services.
Did he say that innovation or creativity needs to
blossom,
prosper or blossom?
Yes.
In an eco-social.
Correct. Yes.
For what reason would you have a need to be creative when the government does everything for you?
It's a great question. I also would like to know how you're going to provide these services, not just free, meaning you're going to force the labor of others for free, because this nurse right here, of course, is just going to volunteer to give you health care because it's an eco-socialist world, and that's what we do. I don't work for any money. I just give you health care. That's called slavery. But aside from that, it is also going to inherently be carbon zero. Not even carbon neutral. Carbon zero. There is nothing in a modern hospital that you can make carbon zero. The plastic, the electronics, the equipment necessary.
The carbon imprint x-ray that she's holding.
The fucking clipboard she's holding isn't carbon zero. You can make them the bullshit carbon neutral where you're offsetting everything you do, which is just doubling the capital required to make something by also offsetting the carbon, which makes no sense whatsoever. But you can't make it carbon zero. Unless you just don't make anything, I guess.
But universal services don't just stop at care. Imagine zero carbon housing that is free or low cost, no longer tied to speculative markets and crushing rents.
Well, so wait, if everything is free, how would it be low cost? It can't be free or low cost. It has to be free because nobody has any money. So low cost would mean nobody could access it no matter how low the cost. It doesn't matter if it's $1 if I don't have 50 cents. There is nothing here that is congruent or makes any fucking sense. Oh my God.
Low carbon retrofitted homes and apartment buildings would be affixed with solar and battery storage, and co-housing and co-op living
because
across
they just
all
fall
ages
from the sky
would be
that
norm.
way.
No longer does the very house we live in distance us from the people we love or destroy the planet. Of course, for those who are uninterested in community living, there would be sustainable single-family homes available too, but they would be a far cry from the McMansions of suburbia that are so popular now.
How terrible
Housing,
that
especially
you live
in the
in a big
United
home.
States, would need to degrow an individual side but expand in capacity so that we can assure that no one is living on the streets and everyone is comfortable. People would no longer own multiple homes, and instead access to vacation homes and resorts would be shared and could be tied to work hours and community contributions. Put enough time in at the solar plant or the farm and get 3 weeks at the cabin on Lake Michigan. Because all commons, from parks to natural wonders to golf courses, must be decommodified and accessible to all. An eco-socialist society must foster conditions so that...
But they are commodities. How do you decommodify a commodity?
Places where people can congregate outside of the home flourish and are free. Whether it's neighborhood canteens, free theaters, museums, parks, cafes, or library, living the good life means access to activities within your community. And to get between all those places, this world needs electrified, accessible, and free public transit. Not just intercity trams, buses, and trains accessible to all with disabilities, but also bike sharing programs with e-bike options and extensive walking paths as well. And for those who have specific accessibility needs, electric taxis could bring people from door to door if needed. Zooming out past the urban landscape, Max Isle envisions a web of cities and greenbelts in his book, A People's Green New Deal. wherein he writes, "Greenbelts surround all cities as popular planning converts sprawling suburbs into farmed swards. High-speed rails link bigger cities to smaller ones to capillary lines leading to outlying hamlets. And alongside housing, transit, and care, an eco-socialist economy must transform food systems. Regeneratively grown, tasty, and nutritious food should be available to all, no longer relying on industrial agriculture that guzzles fossil fuels."
No longer relying on the things that have allowed us to feed every mouth on the planet. Let's go back to the shit that didn't work when 98% of people had to farm their own food. Literally, in the year 1900, 98% of Americans were farmers. 97%, sorry. Today, it is exactly the opposite. 3% are farmers. And that's because of this exploitative capitalist system.
And destroys the
Fuck's
soil,
sakes.
food should be distributed via free canteens or local groceries, not locked behind ever-increasing price tags. But all of these free universal services are just the start. To build a better world for all people on the planet, we must dramatically transform not only the way we work, but also why we do it. Under capitalism, we work jobs we're uninterested in for meager wages. Indeed, at the core of the capitalist model is worker exploitation. Very simplistically, this means that during an 8-hour workday, for example, if a laborer is paid $80, a small chunk of a worker's time is actually spent making $80 worth of products. The rest is unpaid or surplus labor. That is where the capitalist makes their profit. The longer capitalists can stretch that time of unpaid work, and the more efficient they can make their workers, the more profits roll into their wallets. And the workers are forced into this exploitative situation because if you don't work, you can quickly lose access to a roof over your head and food on the table. This must change. There must be guaranteed green.
Well, and that's not true. You can go build a fucking cabin in the woods and never work a day in your life, but you're going to have to hunt and grow your own food. You're going to have to generate your own electricity, and no one's going to just hand you solar panels. You're going to have to figure out a way to make money to buy them. You don't have to join the capitalist system in a capitalist society, but you'd be fucking stupid not to. Oh, fuck's sakes.
And care jobs for all who want them. And those jobs must pay a generous wage to live with dignity, not just to survive.
Wait.
Or perhaps
Profits? They're going to pay profits?
perhaps in the future, jobs won't need to pay.
So, if you're going to work out of the good of your heart, basically, so that, because everybody has to work in order to provide all these things, right? That is the core of the idea of socialism. Who's going to volunteer to go down into the mines? Who's going to volunteer to go crabfish in Alaska, the most dangerous job in the world? Who's going to volunteer to swing a hammer all day? Nobody. Everybody's going to volunteer to work at a bank, to work behind a desk, to do the easiest, shortest hour jobs possible, and you're not going to have anybody willing to do the other thing, so you're going to have to force them. This is what the Soviet Union learned very quickly. And before you know it, instead of having people self-sort themselves, doing the job that they are most prone and apt to be able to do and make money at doing, now you have people that would be brilliant bioengineers breaking fucking rocks. Because you don't have time to sort 300 million people into their perfect job. You need people to fucking break rocks right now, or we're going to run out of power. Holy
wage
shit.
at all because all needs are already provided for. The work week would
By
shrink
nothing.
to 4
By
days,
just magic.
encouraging everyone to foster recreational and communal hobbies, and in the process recognizing the importance of rest, family, and community life. Crucially, the factories, restaurants, and businesses are not owned and operated by elites or capitalists, but instead by workers themselves. They collectively decide how the
So it's a
workday
small
happens
business.
in order to create what is needed for the people. Because ultimately, an eco-socialist world will focus on creating products and services we actually need rather than commodities to sell for a profit. And this means no more bullshit.
Who determines what we actually need?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need that microphone, Austin?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so it's out. Do you need that American flag behind you to to show your pride in this country?
Yes.
Okay, I'll give you that one. How about the signs behind you? They're out. Do you need the books?
Mm-hmm.
Or?
We have to have creativity must prosper in eco-socialism.
True, but
I guess he didn't say intelligence needs
you can't
to.
eat a book. How about the carpet? Do you need carpet, or could you get by with a paper floor? You're really being
it'd be fine.
You're really being a capitalist by using carpet. It's unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to waste labor on that. So we're going to replace that with a paper floor. Jesus Christ. Who determines what we need and don't need? Oh, well, an elite does.
Mm-hmm.
Jobs, as anthropologist David Graeber puts it, where all you do is create emails to middle management. But it also means an eco-socialist world must create a culture without consumerism, one that bans...
So you can't have shit anymore. Nothing. You can't have anything that you don't need. You don't need the books to survive. You don't need the flag. You don't need the microphone. You don't need the floor. You don't need any of that. You don't even need a bed, really, because frankly, you can sleep on the fucking floor. What are you, a fucking selfish capitalist?
You commie piece of shit.
Advertising and fosters a creative commons, one that enshrines the...
I am an equal. I am an eco-socialist, you bastard.
Right to repair and rejects throwaway culture. When we build an economy that centers around use rather than profits, the need for marketing to drum up false needs, as I talk about in this video, and the prevalence of planned obsolescence drops dramatically. Imagine a world without incessant ads telling you to buy more at every moment. A world where the creative-minded among us don't need to flock towards marketing agencies to create art for products, but instead are supported enough to explore and make beautiful art. In short, people's creative energy could be poured into making art, movies, and music for all.
Okay, so we're all gonna be artists, musicians. Again, who's gonna break the fucking rocks so that we have power and heat and food? Nobody. We're all going to be artists and musicians.
Video, he sounded, the most enthusiastic about eco-socialism. We choose you to have the honor of breaking the rocks while I play the trumpet.
It's a good idea. You and I will be creative and continue to make this podcast. I think we should send him to break the rocks.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't need to be behind a paywall or stuck in a museum or behind a movie ticket. Because under eco-socialism, culture becomes a shared public good. And in turn, this new culture informs not only our economies, but also how we relate to each other and the world. All of these services will require a fair amount of energy, but compared to our capitalist system, significantly less power will be needed as energy-intensive commodity production of useless items is scaled down and production is oriented towards real needs and ecological sustainability, aiming to provide a good life.
The useless stuff, not get rid of it.
Right, so you're going to have less things to buy, and we're going to magically somehow make things more efficient, despite the fact that that's what capitalism naturally does, is improve efficiency. We're going to magically come up with even more efficient ways. Because why? Or how?
Basically, his idea is everyone's going to work to make sure everyone's needs are met while no one has fun.
But we're all going to be artists and musicians, I thought.
Useless commodities.
Like art and music, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Notice how there's like 80 people in this fucking field. Get in the fucking field, guy. You think that lifting those packages was bad for that Amazon worker? Go bend over for 12 hours picking fucking carrots. We have machines for this shit in capitalist countries.
For all. And as we shrink the energy demand hole we've dug ourselves into for the last 50 years, we must simultaneously scale up renewable energy at a massive scale while facing...
Okay, so carbon zero's out then. Because green energy is extremely carbon rich.
Phasing out fossil fuels completely. This means...
Okay, so we only have power during the day. And maybe a little bit at night if it's windy.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Renewable energy supergrids that balance out regional variability when the sun isn't shining and the wind isn't blowing. It means smaller community-owned solar and wind microgrids, and it means a mass expansion of battery and storage capabilities with technologies like pumped hydro. Ultimately, all of this agenda must be couched in anti-racist, anti-patriarchal, anti-imperialist, and anti-oppressive agendas. As co-author of the Red Deal, Melanie Yazzie notes,
you need to divest from the institutions that cause the greatest harm on behalf of the state, right? Prisons, police, the
colleges, the government,
military, and divesting from those institutions.
Oh, okay. So we're going to create this utopia where everything is free and all your needs are met, and nobody is going to attack us for that utopia. Got you.
We must reinvest in the common dignity of all, which means healing our bodies and healing our earth.
So building an eco-socialist future necessitates degrowing and eventually abolishing violent industries like the police and prison system and the military.
Okay, so nobody will ever commit crime again.
No.
Just magically, nobody... Well, if everybody's needs are met, nobody would commit crime because there's never been a criminal ever that was wealthy. There's never been a criminal that came from a well-off family. That's never happened before.
Of state violence that have long terrorized people of color for centuries,
Crime
especially in the United States.
What is?
Crime.
Yes.
Yes. Fiscally speaking, global military budgets eclipse funding for climate action, healthcare, and education, and are...
I wonder why.
That was
Did you ever
absolute...
stop and ask why?
That was absolute bullshit. He just bold-faced lied. So in the United States,
people
the
of color
only
for
country on that
centuries,
list,
especially in the United States. Fiscally,
the only country on this list, so United Kingdom, France, Germany, Saudi Arabia, India, China, South Korea, Japan, and Russia, all have some form of universal health care, I think, except maybe South Korea, Saudi Arabia, and Russia. I'm not really sure how it works in Russia. I'd have to look into that. Anyway, all the rest of them have universal health care. All of them spend considerably more. I don't know exactly because it's not my forte to give a shit about, Euro shit countries. But they spend considerably more, 2, 3, 4, 5 times more on health care than they fucking do military spending. It's one of our problems with NATO countries is they give all these benefits back to their people that we don't get, because we are paying this massive amount to protect them as well as us. On top of that, the United States, $732 billion, I'm not sure, this is 2019, okay. In 2019, 70% of the U.S. budget and debt that we borrowed for the year, because that's part of the budget, went to healthcare and welfare services. Healthcare is by far the single biggest ticket item in the United States since Obamacare. And even before that, it probably was still at least 1-for-1 with military spending. He's flat out lying. We spend more on healthcare than anything else, hands down. The military budget is literally 10% of the total U.S. budget.
Speaking, global military budgets eclipse funding for climate action, healthcare, and education, and are used to carry out settler colonial genocides like the ongoing one in Palestine. One of the monumental tasks of eco-socialism must be to divert our economy away from one of violence and oppression and towards one of care. Instead of punishment and the stick, we must focus on the carrot.
So when those jihadists are screaming Allah Akbar in your face and blowing themselves up, you can stop that by giving them a hug.
By being empathetic and caring.
Yes, yes. When the criminal breaks into your home to rape you, you instead make him a pot of coffee, give him the sex, obviously, because that's all he wants. And then you talk to him about why his father wasn't there for him.
Encouraging care by helping zero-carbon communities, social programs.
Sorry, say that again.
We're in an eco-socialist society, and that's just not allowed.
Correct, yes.
And restorative justice initiatives thrive. But of course, it's not enough to just end police and imperial violence and claim that eco-socialism has rooted out white supremacy and imperialist infections. This will be a long struggle. But as Sean Blackmon suggests, it might start with
reparations being paid to Black Americans for the centuries of unpaid labor and super exploitation under enslavement, Jim Crow, mass incarceration, and other forms of institutionalized disenfranchisement. All government treaties with Native Americans
I feel like leftists just spend their whole lives making up new words.
Stolen by the deposed capitalist class.
In short, an eco-socialist world must have at its core policies of reparations, repayment of climate debt, demilitarization, indigenous sovereignty, and land back as a means to start repairing the centuries of racial and colonial capitalist harm. Fundamentally, a market system cannot do any of these tasks. If profit is the driver of invention or production, we will inevitably slide right back to where we are. Indeed, the market economies of today lead to waste and inequality, and they are irrational in their chaos. If we right now already need to heavily regulate markets with elaborate mechanisms to lessen the massive harms just a little bit, why bother with the market in the first place? That's why an eco-socialist economy must be a democratically planned economy. I talk a lot more about how and why planning must be central to any eco-socialist project in this video, but in short, there are many ways in which a planned economy could not only be successful, but also thrive. Troy Vitesse and Drew Pendergrass present a case of a half-earth socialism that sets broad-scale goals like global veganism, energy quotas, and forest rewilding.
Ah, that's it. You're all gonna be fucking vegans. That's how we're gonna feed you. Do you realize that it takes more energy to make a head of lettuce than it does a steak? Just throwing that out there.
And stewardship under indigenous control based on linear programming.
We can imagine feasible ways to use simple algorithms to plan plausible ways of organizing society, and then debate about what those plans look like on various levels.
That's Drew Pendergrass, co-author of Half-Earth Socialism. He goes on to add,
so we kind of imagine a little federalism where we set broad, coarse goals at a large level, and then figure out in detail what that looks like as you go towards the more local level.
In the context of climate change, socialist planning is crucial because, as Vitesse argues,
then you begin to think, okay, like how much energy can we use as a society, or where are we getting our energy from? How much land are we using with animal agriculture? How much of that land could be rewilded? You begin to see these things in their totality, which is difficult to do or impossible to do under capitalism.
In very simplistic but more concrete terms, a linear programming eco-socialist planning model requires us to plug in a number of desired parameters, like we want to cut emissions by 7.6% every year, rewild 25% more land, and redistribute wealth for a good life for all by 2030. And then according to those parameters, the program might spit out a variety of plans, ranging from more lenient energy quotas but faster uptake of vegetarian or vegan production and consumption, or perhaps more aggressive rewilding and afforestation instead, or a more rapid increase in renewable production. On a global scale, Vitesse and Pendergrass envision thousands of planners and scientists plugging a massive amount of data into a central mainframe, much like what already happens in climate models, which then charts out various course blueprints 5 to 10 or even 25 years into the future, envisioning what it would look like to cut emissions, rewild half the planet, and redistribute wealth at different speeds. Those broad plans are then disseminated, debated, and transformed as they pass through to global, national, and local levels. This is socialist planning in motion, because for eco-socialist planning to succeed, it must be intensely transparent, accessible, and subject to debate. Plans must come from everyone, be formulated and run through modeling tools, and then sent back to the masses in an endless cycle of construction and exploration. But to get—
How are we going to send them through LLMs when eco-socialists hate data centers? Can someone explain to me how, if we're not going to allow any data centers, we can run these ideas through LLMs? Just like the rest of this, this is all contradictory. You literally cannot do any of these things because of everything you're taking off the table, which is like all of it.
So, you know how we
Sorry,
said we're gonna aim to rewild half the earth?
Yes.
You want to guess how much of the earth is wild already?
98%.
Half of it.
Okay. Well, I overestimated a bit, but I know humans only live on 1% of the land.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, yeah, I mean, there's still a lot more to it than just where we live. But
that's only if, you're taking into account, like, where humans can live. Obviously, much more of the earth is completely inhabitable, so it's complete wild.
Right. Well, I mean, congratulations, man. We already did it. Look at that. We're done. That's eco-socialism at its finest. We set out to do something, and we fucking did it without lifting a finger.
Now, to that
Solidarity.
future, we can't just imagine. We must act. We must build. An eco-socialist future is possible, but it's not inevitable. It will be a long road from the current rise of fossil fascism, settler colonial genocide,
Fossil
and intensifying
fascism.
climate disasters to an eco-socialist future that prioritizes
that
a
down.
good life for all. But that work is already in motion. There are already climate and leftist movements fighting to build power within capitalism in order to eventually break away from it. Because it's not enough just to envision what could be possible. Radical hope requires action. That means working
from it. Yeah, that makes sense.
What?
They're going to use capitalism to build power so they can break away from capitalism.
That makes, total sense. And they're also going to, that means working towards transitional demands and non-reformist reform. So we're going to reform things in a non-reformist way.
Oh. Well, that's the final piece in the puzzle.
Towards transitional demands and non-reformist reforms
Oh
that
my God, he
alleviate
said
the
it.
harm of capitalist destruction right now. Those look like defunding the police, moratoria on fossil fuel extraction, closing coal mines, raising wages, shortening work weeks, expanding community-owned renewable grids, ending settler colonial violence, and expanding access to universal services. These goals, these transitional demands,
produce
build
less,
power by stealing
but
it from
increase
the
what we
hands of
give you.
capitalists. Of course, these are part of the end goal, but they are not the end goal. They are just steps on the path towards a future of liberation, where
What is the
all
end
people
goal?
can live a good life on a thriving planet. But it will take all of us, with whatever capacity we have, to make that happen. And that starts with you joining a group doing the work in your area, while always imagining and dreaming of what a world outside of capitalism could be.
On October 23rd.
But I don't
In
wanna
this time of
work. I
uncertainty.
want socialism so I don't have to work. What do you mean I have to join a community and work?
Yeah, what do you mean I got to do all this fucking work? I thought I could just make art
Yeah.
and music. Fucking work. The sad thing is the amount of people that will watch that and go, wow, we have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Having zero realization at all that literally nothing he said is, it's not even that it's not plausible. It's that it has no logical consistency whatsoever. You cannot stop producing things, yet produce more things to give people.
Mm-hmm.
And I get what he thinks he's saying. We're going to stop making these useless things, and we're going to put that energy into making useful things. But we're also going to do it in a green way, and we're also going to do it in a non-exploitative way, and we're also going to do it to where we can all just make music and art, and these things will just magically appear. Like, I really want to give you an intelligent argument against this, but it's so moronic. He said so many beautiful things, like fucking fossil fascist. But none of it makes any sense. There is no logical consistency at all to even argue. This is literally just writing down your hopes and dreams on paper and going, we're going to make it happen because we're going to make it happen. Okay, but what's your plan? We're going to make it happen. Right. What are the steps you're going to take to get it? We're going to make it happen. All right, guy. Just shut up and go away. Oof. Hopefully we enlightened you today on eco-socialism. So I asked Grok to define eco-socialism for me. I get that that's what the video was, but I wanted a more sane explanation. So this is what we got here. Eco-socialism is an ideology that tries to staple socialism, collective ownership of the means of production, central planning, or democratic control of the economy, production for need instead of profit, heavy redistribution, and the usual Marxist grudge against capitalism, onto environmentalism, ecology, green politics, anti-globalization, and the belief that we're all doomed unless we harmonize with nature, whatever that means. An eco-socialist is the true believer in this mashup, usually a keyboard revolutionary who insists capitalism is the root of all ecological evil, and poverty, war, inequality, bad vibes, etc. So the only solution is to abolish private property, markets, and growth-oriented economies in favor of some egalitarian steady-state utopia where worker councils or the people magically plan everything perfect and sustainably the first time. They dream of restoring the commons. We'll talk about what the commons are another time because there is an interesting thing there, but beside the point. Phasing out fossil fuels at high speed, shrinking consumption in the rich world while redistributing to the global south, and ending the metabolic rift between humanity and nature, all while claiming this time, unlike every prior socialist experiment, it won't collapse into shortages, authoritarianism, or environmental hypocrisy. In practice, it's the same old socialist snake oil with a fresh coat of green paint and some indigenous stewardship cosplay thrown in for some moral flair. The core pitch, capitalism's profit motive forces endless growth and exploitation, destroying the planet. Therefore, we need social ownership, democratic planning, and the needs-based economy to save both the workers and the whales. So, here's the thing.
Based grok.
Now, the savage part, because this is peak brain-dead, ignorant, pseudo-intellectual, hedonist nonsense dressed up as profound theory. Here's the thing. Capitalism without morals is, in fact, a problem, right? It's still far better than socialism because it actually gives some sort of motive to do things. It actually has some sort of mechanism to decide what things need to be made and what things don't. And when capitalism is effective, like it has been in the West for the last 100 years, you have so much excess that you are able to make frivolous things. And they exist. And that in and of itself is part of why you need morals to drive it, because profit isn't and shouldn't be what drives capitalism. It is why we are at the problems we are at. We are not in end stage capitalism. That's fucking nonsense. We are all still living extremely cush lives because of capitalism. But in the 1980s, progressives got into the business schools and they changed the teaching from the customer being right, the customer being the focus, what is the customer's wants and needs, and that determines what business decisions I make, to, with a moral guidance on top of that, to profits, shareholders' profits. We need to go back to the moral, customer-driven approach. Absolutely. And this is, I am saying this to all the capitalists out there, you can only do it yourself. If you own a business, if you are part of a business, if you make decisions for a company, if you have the ear of a CEO, whatever it is, or you are the CEO, you need to start making decisions based on what is best for America and Americans and your community, not just what is the absolute maximum profit I can get out of the shareholders. Because, while profit is good and helps us invest in other things, it has to be downstream from making sure your workers are taken care of, from making sure you're providing a quality product to your customers, and not being fucking evil, right? But that has to be a choice. The idea behind socialism is we can force everybody to be good. That's not possible. Not being evil is a choice, and you have to make it yourself. And if we want shit like this to go away, because we're all going to end up in Mondami's New York if we don't start making better decisions by choice. And we're going to have to fucking go through some serious hardships before we can ever get back to doing things correctly again. We don't have to do that. But if we continue to allow the evil in us, the hedonism, the selfishness in us to override what we know is right, That's where we're going to end up, because eventually people are going to get mad, even though, and this is what blows my mind, is the fact there are so many disgruntled leftist it's mostly young individuals, right, who haven't lived very long. They don't own anything themselves, so they want everything handed to them. They live in the most comfortable society to ever exist. Their life is easier than anybody before them. They don't realize that while it sucks to go flip burgers for 8 hours, the alternative is to go fucking hand hoe a field for 12 hours every day with no days off. Well, you got to hand them hoes. But beside the point, those are the alternatives. There is no fake utopia where we can all just magically have exactly what we need without putting in more labor. The problem today is not that we don't produce enough to meet everybody's needs. We more than do so. The problem is the people that refuse to contribute. And the more people take from the system without putting into the system, the more imbalanced it becomes. Elon Musk cannot profit enough to fund the entire United States, no matter how hard he works. I've said it before, we could take every single dollar from every billionaire in America and we would fund the government for a week. 1 week. Stealing their money is not going to solve your lack of drive, your lack of motivation, your lack of producing things. Anyway. You got anything you want to say?
Fuck socialism.
I agree. And
although
fuck
I will say, I'm in favor of socialism and communism if I get to be the leader.
And that's really what it is, right? They want what successful people have without having to put in the work to get it. And so they just label everything that those people do exploitation. What they're labeling exploitation is the work, is smart decision making. And yes, some of them did do exploitative things, and that should be called out and that should be corrected. It should be something that we don't allow to happen, not via government intervention, but via social intervention. Don't buy from somebody that is doing exploitative things. Don't buy from fucking Walmart. Look, I go back and forth a lot on Walmart because Walmart has done a lot of good things. The fact is, there are many poor Americans today that can afford to outfit their home with everything they need because Walmart exists and offers far lower prices than the mom and pop shop that they replaced. At the same time, that's because they're exploiting Chinese labor and they're exploiting their workers. I don't agree with that. So don't support it. Support the people that are doing things the right way. And support, the other thing is, like, I don't support getting rid of Walmart. I support Walmart making better decisions and doing it the right way. I would much rather pay 50 cents more knowing that their workers are making a better wage. And then I have no problem shopping there. I have no problem paying 10% more, knowing that everything in the store was manufactured by an American. Anyway. And the other thing is the whole consumerism fucking, everything. Well, we just make useless throwaway bullshit. Well, that's because people want throwaway bullshit. That's entirely down to consumer choice. You can buy a quality craftsman-made coffee table, but you don't want to spend $1,000 on a coffee table that will last the rest of your life. You want to be able to change it in 10 years when you decide you're bored of the way the living room looks. Stop doing that.
He makes it sound like you're forced to buy an iPhone. You're forced to buy random shit you don't need.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way to get people to stop doing that is to stop making it. Or you could just spend more of your money on the stuff you actually need to spend it on, and not 3 coffees a day that cost $5 each, McDonald's, Taco Bell, insert whatever you want.
Yeah.
Beer, weed,
Red Bull,
whatever drugs you use. You don't have to buy all that stuff.
Nope. But people don't want to take the personal responsibility. They just want to make it somebody else's problem. I want you to give me everything I want and need, and I don't want to have to do anything to get it. All right. I got to get out of here. Is there anything else you wanted to hit real quick?
No.
All right. And before we get out of here, I want to finish on a funny video because I've been watching this while we've been doing this we've been doing this show in silent, and I cannot for the life of me figure out what the fuck's going on here. Let's see. It should be that one. Okay.
Payback time.
Guys.
Run it.
Yes, all this, dude. These guys are hilarious.
No way.
Is that for sale?
Sure.
Thanks. I'm gonna get 2 carrot cakes, 1 strawberry, 1 banana, 3 pecans. Are you guys writing this down, or what are we doing?
Sorry. Could you repeat that again?
2 butter pecans. Rule number 1, never let the customer see weakness. It's bad for morale. If you don't have the customer's confidence, what do you have? We got 2 carrots, 3 pecans, 5 blueberries, 1 pound cake. Didn't the pound cake order come in like an hour ago? We're a little behind. It happens. Okay. Well, the simple fact is, if they would have baked the sponge when they were supposed to, we wouldn't be in this mess. Look, nobody's slacking. What about him? What's he doing? I was trying to sleep before you guys came in here. Oh, yeah, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, we should talk about it. We should really talk about it. I think we should talk about it.
Do y'all mind if I talk about something first? Let's do it.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, here I go. Have y'all heard that new conspiracy theory about the mob?
No. No, tell me more.
So allegedly, the mob has this completely normal bakery where you can walk in and order pies or cakes or whatever, but the whole bakery is just a front so they can distribute their drugs in broad daylight. Apparently, they're hiding the drugs under the pies and then selling them in specially marked boxes.
Why is this reminding me of Breaking Bad?
Dude, right? Wait, should we kiss?
You the guy?
$100 a gram, take it or leave it. You reselling our product, Joe?
Hey, fellas.
I think you need an adjustment, Joe. Oh, who do you guys think you are? I think I'm the biggest drug dealer in the history of New York, and there's nothing that you can do to stop me.
We got him.
That explains why I could not understand for the life of me what the fuck was going on in silent. All right, man, where can they find you?
This guy's hilarious. MillerTalk.substack.com and MillerTalk_pod on X. And I stream to Twitch, X, Substack, and Rumble under Miller Talk.
Multi-stream.
Mm-hmm. In case the constant politics and news talking has bored you, tomorrow night I will be beginning my first playthrough of Doom. Not my first playthrough, but the first start. I'm going to start playing through Doom tomorrow night. We finished Doom 64 last time I did a video game stream, but after the show tomorrow, I'll be doing that. So
there you have it. You can find the show x.com/JBU_show, rumble.com/user/justbetweenus. And to the leftist that reported my page over and over the other day, apparently. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Every time your bot went to my page to report it, I got a view, so.
Yeah.
Works for me, and
loser.
So far, nothing's happened because of it.
Loser.
I don't understand it. I don't understand the mindset. Like, anyway. Yeah. X.com/JBU_show. Sorry, I was trying to get that fixed and also catch my text, but I've been getting texted this whole time. That's why I gotta go. With that, my name is Chris, and this has been... Oh, sorry.
And Austin.
And this has been the JBU Miller Talk Show podcast.
Bye. Wait, I want to be a little bit louder.
Yeah.
This is only between us.
This is just between us.
This is just between us.
Perfect.